Hey everybody, thank you for coming back to Sold on RV Life. My name is Laura, and here on our channel we try to show you everyday life in an RV. If you've been following our channel for any amount of time, you might remember that we have been in this RV site for over a year. We came to this RV park in August of 2024. What made us come here was Hurricane Beryl, where we were staying down in Corpus Christi for a year, and we got evacuated because of Hurricane Beryl. Now, Hurricane Beryl did not hit Corpus Christi, but we were already here in Livingston, Texas, and so here we stayed. While we've been here for 1 year, we've been waiting on doctor's appointments, we've been waiting on the VA. We know we won't be here forever, and I need to be ready for travel. I don't want to be waiting till the last minute and then all of a sudden having to scramble to get the things ready that I should have been working on. I had a whole year to do it, and I didn't do it. So life gets in the way, you get complacent, and you just don't want to do anything. That's kind of what happened to me. So I really did have a different intention for this video today, and so that's going to have to be saved for another video. I will be tackling this area up here very soon for organization. I want to revisit all of my other organization areas just to kind of check up for you to see how have I been keeping up. Is it as easy as I had organized it? Because that was the plan. The plan was to organize things so that they could be maintained very easily. So we're going to take a look at that, but that's going to have to be in a future video, because today we are going to ask Olie what he's been doing to get the hizzy ready for travel.
I didn't know it was looking at me. You looking at me? As you just saw and heard Laura talking about how long we've been here, we've been static, you know, the whole salt thing and all the rest of that. So one of the issues we ran into, or I shouldn't say issues, one of the things I noticed when we were running from Hurricane Beryl last year and doing a little more traveling before we came down and got into this site right here, was that I had to crank the gain up on the brake controller in the truck, and it was all the way maxed out to get even some braking from the trailer. Now, I'm estimating the trailer's probably got 35,000 miles on it. So, you know, is that the brake shoes because there are drums in the back? Is it the brake shoes going out, or something else going on? Yada yada. So when we got here and we did a tire change a couple weeks ago, I took off each of the rims. Take them off one side at a time, take them over, get new tires put on. I did pop the drums off, and I took a look at the brake systems that were in there, and they were definitely rusted. I mean, we know that salt air got in there, rusted up. However, the shoes still had some life left to them, so that tells me that rust got in there and bound it all up, and it wasn't allowing those shoes, because these are auto adjust, or I think they're called NEV-R-ADJUST, which it automatically turns the tensioner and sends it out. Anyway, long story short, we decided we're just going to replace those. So it's a plate that goes on, and we'll show it all to you, whatever, because of the rusty end, because you got to have brakes. You know, you don't want 20,000 pounds trying to push your truck, or have your truck trying to stop 20,000 pounds. It's just not safe. And so we decided to change those out. So got online, started doing the research. We have the Dexter 7,000 pound axles, pretty universal. And the replacement parts from Dexter can be purchased everywhere. I happen to get ours from Southwest Wheel through Amazon. U.S. company. Hey. U.S. company, certified Dexter or authorized Dexter dealer, replacement, whatever. Talked to them through the chat just to make sure that these were actually OEM Dexter parts, and they said yes. So good seller. They, at least for the interaction we had, it's the first time I've ever used them, but Southwest Wheel, found them on Amazon. Ordered up the sets. They come in a set for left and right, because each side's different. So it's one axle comes in a box. All right, so we're gonna open this up and see what's inside. All right, let's take a look, see what we got. Okay, so we got the Dexter NEV-R-ADJUST. Okay. They'll tell you on here, left hand. Obviously that one's the right hand. Okay. One of the things, and I don't know if this is typical for Southwest wheels, because this comes as a kit, but they also send replacement studs. And I didn't see this on the seller page of this stuff. I didn't see that this came with it. Maybe it did and I just didn't look hard enough. My fault. But I thought it was really cool. It came with replacement studs. So then you can, if you have the means of pressing out the old ones, you can press in new ones. So that way all the hardware that's holding this up and the pieces are all new. Anyway, all right, enough talking to that. Let's get out our handy dandy something or other. Box opener. Well, let me show you this. Now this is a comment to Dexter, not to Southwest Wheels. They're just supplying the kits as a resale. So Dexter sends you installation instructions. Okay. The key part in this is the drum, reconnect the brake drum to referring to Dexter's light or medium duty service manual for proper procedures. So basically these instructions really don't tell you a whole lot. They tell you about what it is that you have, maybe some torque settings, but that's it for this whole thing. So come on, Dexter, do better. You got QR links on here, whatever. I had to go download the dang manual, read through it so I can figure out all this stuff. But yeah, anyways, that's my comment on that. So back to the deals. All right, don't eat. So these, oops, there's 5 of those, are the replacements, and you'll see it when we do it. And then the 2 plugs that go in the back here to keep out salt, air, things like that, you know. We're missing our original. Anyway, so this is it. This is the new brake hub. And so when we get to the other side, you'll get to see how it works. But there's the 5 mounting, and those are the 5 nuts for that.
Hey, look at there.
What's that?
Made in the USA.
Yeah, it's Dexter, good stuff, you know, except for your instructions. So anyway, so these are the, yeah, sorry. So these are the the shoes that come in these things. For those of you that worked on drums, you know that all these little springs have to come off and all the rest of that stuff, and it's a real pain in the butt. And I guess I could have chosen, and I'll show you when we take them off, to take the old ones, take them apart, clean them up, relube them, reuse them. I'm not gonna bank on that. They're not cheap. It's a couple $100 an axle. But why mess with it? I didn't want to mess with it. Anyway, so magnet on there. That's it. So what's gonna happen is we're gonna take the wheel off. There's a center hub that's got a dust cap on it. We'll take that off. Behind that is gonna be a bearing and a retaining ring, a big nut, a washer. All that's gonna come out. Oh, yeah, road noise. All that's going to come out, and you'll get to see that. You'll see that we got the grease in there. We'll pull all that out. We'll swap these out, put the new one back on, put it all back together, and go to the next one. And so we got 2 to do. So here's a little spoiler alert. I already did this side. I already did the right side because I wanted to make sure, 1, what I was doing, 2, how it was going to go. Because I don't want to get on there on a video and you get a 30-minute video of me going, I don't know what to do. That's just not educational for anybody, or informational, not necessarily educational. So anyway, yeah, I've done one side already, so we kind of know what we're getting into. And you'll see the troubles just to get these dang tires off the ground. Unreal. Anyway, enough chit chat. We'll see you on that side of the trailer.
The first order of business, besides getting our tools together, is to bring this slide in.
Yeah, so you got to protect yourself, and no better way than a poor man's creeper. So our good friends, Scott and Joni. This is Scott's creeper. He was kind enough. He actually gifted it to me. He just like, hey, here, you want a poor man's creeper? Because he was using it on his motorhome. And I'm like, that's awesome. What a gift. It goes easy on the knees, old guys, you know. So shout out to Scott. Thanks for the poor man's creeper. Appreciate it. Dumbest fucking setup ever. Alright, so here's our brake drum. You can hear it grinding a little bit in there, which is neither here nor there. You can take this cover off, get the stuff out of there, pull the drum, and you'll see the rest.
Success?
Yeah, get the dust cover off. You see all the lube in there, and then this. Which is good lube, it's nice and clean because it's new, so we're gonna save it. This is the Zert fitting right here, which when this is on, you pop that center cap with the wheel on, you pop that center cap out, it'll give you access to this. You pull out this little rubber middle, and that gives you access to the Zert fitting, and then you can now lube up this whole spindle, all of it, because it's got channels in there, and you just go and go and go until it fills back, and then you know this whole thing is greased up. As we did last time. So these are really nice. They make it a lot easier to keep these actual hubs and the spindles all lubricated. So then here is what we call a retaining. It's a retaining ring, almost like a castle nut top, and all we do is pop that puppy out. And that's it, because one end is, I don't know if you can see all this, but there's a flat, so it's not, it's flat, because right here on this whole end of the spindle that comes out has a flat side. You'll see it, the washer and everything. So it goes on one way, and it just locks this nut from spinning. Again, this is the part that's going to blow you away, because here's the nut that's holding all this in.
Finger tight?
Yep. And it'll come into play when we go to reseat this.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I am so thankful that you have a lot of knowledge about this stuff.
Ain't about knowledge, about YouTube, baby.
All about the YouTube.
That's it. That's where I learned half this stuff. So let's get this little washer out, because it doesn't spin either. She's being picky. Come on.
Oh, what do they do? Make these for little baby fingers?
Is the washer that holds, you'll see what else. But again, it's got that flat edge. That holds it on this spindle.
Okay, I see it's flat on that one side.
Flat on that side. Okay, so now we're at a point. Okay, gunky. This is going to become a pain in the butt. So, we're going to wiggle this drum a little bit and force out. There it is.
Oh, okay. What's that called?
Outer bearing. So this is another one of the bearings. All right, there's two in here, and this one sits in this track right here, and you'll get to see it all here in a minute. All right, that's flexing. That's good.
Okay.
So this is the drum. This is the one thing I couldn't afford to replace. So you can see the magnet's been rubbing on this inner side, and it shouldn't be. It should be all along this. And if you look at the seat, I know this is a lot of you out there gonna. Okay, so there's the drum. We're gonna move on.
Go ahead.
All right, so here's our old one, and you know, we could probably get in here and see that won't even. It doesn't even move. So these are supposed to go out and grab the drum. That's why they're called shoes instead of pads. But then here is the magnet. I don't know if you can see it, but you can see all the scrape marks on it. So that means the magnet is doing all the work. I don't know if that's what, yeah, it's supposed to do. But the magnet's what's been pulling up, and so it's just not. See, so what we're gonna do is these 5 bolts come out right here. There's 2 wires in the back. We cut those, slide this off, new part goes on. I showed you earlier. It's really that simple. While you're here though, it's always a good idea to inspect your spindle. If you've got groove marks and stuff, I try not to mess with the grease a whole lot, but I'll run my finger over this just to make sure that, I mean, there is a grease channel here, but anything that seems gouged or scraped or whatever, I'm gonna leave the majority of this grease in place because it's good and it's new. But just a quick understanding how this works, and you put your grease gun on here, it's gonna run the grease all the way to the back, and then it comes up through the channels, and that's what fills the front. So it fills from the back forward, so when you get it in your little inspection port, and you have this, and then inside this starts to fill up around you, then you know you're full. And you'll get to see that inner bearing here in a minute. All right, so these, I don't know if you can see it, change them. They give you new ones. Here's why. Side by side of these.
The little crimp things are gone.
Well, they're not.
Oh.
They're flattened out. And so this is a kind of a lock washer that's built into the nut. So as we do this, and we have to torque it down to a certain spec, it's going to flatten out. But then these bite into that base metal in the back, and it keeps it from walking back out. So if you're doing this, the kit will give you new ones. Use them. Don't use your old hardware. Great.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
I got greasy hands.
Oh my God. So let me have the camera.
Okay. It's running.
Yep. All right. I don't know if I can get in here with this stupid thing. You're gonna be tipped a little sideways. Here's the wires. This comes from the controller up front, and then here's the 2 black wires that run in to the back of this. So we're gonna cut those, pull this thing off, and resplice later. So when we cut these, we're gonna cut them on the white wire side of this group right here. Cut them right there, and then we'll use some waterproof wire nuts, and I'll show you those later. Okay, now we gotta take this puppy off. It's locked on there pretty good. Not anymore. Here's the old one.
Wow. Oh boy. Side by side, there you go.
Yeah. So, again, I probably could have taken this all apart, cleaned it all up, you know, but that salt just penetrated, because this is how it comes from the factory, you know, and so everything's coated the way it's supposed to be, all nice and clean and everything, and lubed where it needs to. So it's like, you know, could have just done the shoes. I think doing just the shoes would have been about half the price. So, well, maybe 2/3 the price. So I want to say the shoes were like 125 for one side and 130 for the other. So you're talking, I don't know if that made sense or whatever, but it was, so these were about 220 per axle, and I think to do the shoes was like 150. So it's really only a little bit more. You get a whole new system. Anyway, that's why I did it. There you go. So now I need to get this ready.
So pretty much this is almost just a plug and play.
For the most part, yeah. You just
something
gotta,
even I could do.
yeah, you know. Again, that's what's so awesome about YouTube, is that you can, you know, I didn't know how to do this stuff. The instructions weren't overly clear. Got on YouTube, watched a couple other people do it, and started playing with it. And then the instructions made sense. All right, so you can see these are electrically controlled. So we got 2 wires there, and we got 2 more bundles that come off It looks like it comes from the controller to this one and then into the axle to the other side. Anyway, it's gonna be exposed to the elements. So I use waterproof connectors. I'll put this on the end of these, and then I electrical tape from the connector back into the, just to keep that water from making this, what is it inside? It's a silicone of some type, I believe. Anyway, there's like a liquid, not a liquid, but a gel stuff that's in the middle of these, so it gets on there and it just keeps it cold. It's kind of, I guess it would be kind of like dielectric grease.
I was going to ask you, is that like the dielectric grease that you told us about?
This might be a silicone instead.
Which video did we do dielectric grease? Oh, when we talked about the must-haves. Essentials,
so anyway,
seen here.
So we're going to use 4 of these for both axles, so I'll have 2 extras. So we need to get that prepped up. All right, I'm gonna show you this before I put it on. So we'll get these wired into those, and that's what this is. This piece right here is to take this whole wire setup, put it inside there, and then pin it in so it keeps it away from any of the moving parts of the axle. So there's these 2 holes. I already put one in. They come with these dust covers. So put those in like that. So then when this sits here, those are meant for adjustment. So you can reach into this.
But you don't want water or something.
You don't want water in there, and because these are self-adjusting, we shouldn't have to touch this.
Okay. But
So I'll just plug them up. Yep,
okay.
Plug them up. All right, so this goes on, magnet down. Get the wires out the way. Be very careful over your spindle. There it is. So the hardest part is going to be putting the wires in.
You're gonna have to climb back there?
I'll have to lean over right here. But they're already stripped and ready to go, so we're just going to throw a nut or 2 on here. Make sure this doesn't slide off, and then we will torque these down. Now earlier I was talking about they give you replacement studs, and that's these studs here. I contemplated whether or not I wanted to do it on the other side, but because this flange is so it's not real thick, and trying to bang that out, if I had bent that, then we would have been in trouble. There's tools they make that grip onto it and then push it out. I just wasn't willing to risk it because I didn't want to bend the back of this, because then that'd be an axle replacement. All right, so now we got room.
How's he doing, Sadie? Is he doing the job good? Think so? Okay. Did you say yes? Hi. Okay, so
all right, wires are in, all wired up. So now we're going to put these on, get this snugged up. These get torqued to 50 foot-pounds. So we'll need our torque wrench. We're just going to go easy because this thing really does sit funny on here. So we want to get these nuts started and then have them just barely touch. You can still see how it's still flattened out.
The flange is still there.
Yeah, it's still kind of flayed out. They'll actually flatten out even more here when we get them torqued. Now some of you might be thinking, why isn't he using the impact or the electric, whatever. When starting stuff like this, lug nuts, things like that, I don't recommend doing that because there's so much power in those that if you cross thread this, you might not know it, and you'll start to drive that nut onto that screw, and by the time you figure it out, it's going to be so cross-threaded and jammed in there that you've just ruined everything. So there's a place and time for power like that. Otherwise, starting them, just get them started either by hand or by doing it through a hand wrench like this, just to make sure that you don't cross thread them, because if you cross thread it, it's a bad day. All right, so I'm just going to get these kind of snugged, but they're not to torque yet. I don't know if you can see it, but they're starting to flatten out now. All right, so now we're gonna go
So
over the
let's
torque.
look at it before you.
Some of them are kind of starting to flat, but it's not. But you'll see it really well. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it on the camera, but so we'll start the one we were just talking about.
Right?
So right here, we're gonna look at this one. Now we're gonna torque this to our 50 foot-pounds. Yeah, I can see it from here. It's really starting to flatten out. All right, come on, baby. There we go. There's that one. Now see it? Really flat and squished. And that's what you want, because that's the locking mechanism of that washer. There's that. I wish we would have had the funding to replace the drums, but at least now, even though they're kind of pitted and yucky in there, they'll burnish, because you got to burnish your shoes when you first get them on there. It'll burnish into whatever's here. It'll eat the shoes up faster, but then next time we do something, I'll just replace the shoes and then maybe the drum, and then we'll have had a whole new end on the axle because of this rust. So not the most ideal, but we got to do with what we can afford. Enough talking, get to work.
Get that puppy on there. That looks heavy.
Yeah, but it goes on nice and easy. And now you can even, there's just a little bit of rubbing.
Compared to what it was when you
Right,
did it the first
but
time.
that's where it'll auto adjust. So we're gonna need to get in, press on the brakes a few times. It'll move those shoes out until they're just touching. But we don't have to do it. That's the nice part. We'll put this all back together. So we're gonna grab our bearing, make sure there's nothing yucky on it. It's gonna go right back in here. And then a nice washer. All right, this is the weird part. All right, so we're gonna put this on. Unfortunately, I don't have a socket big enough for this, but there is a way to cheat. So typically what you would do on this, per the Dexter manual that you had to go read to learn how to do this stuff because it doesn't come with the instructions, is we would take and tighten this nut to 50 foot-pounds, and then once you have it at 50 foot-pounds, you're going to back it off and then tighten it finger tight. Here's why we're doing this, is that just the way it's sitting right now, and that way that spindle and everything, it may have some play in it. See that play? I don't know if you can see, get my arm out of the way. You got to take that play out. We don't want that doing it. That's why we torque this down to 50 foot-pounds. But because I don't have a socket big enough for this, we even said it in the manual, I forget how they worded it, but we're just going to take it nice and easy, but we're going to try and crank this down without gouging or...
Yep.
That play's gone now, see?
Yep.
And that's what we want. But we don't want this nut so tight that we can't get it off. So I'm going to spin this a little bit, let that grease kind of roll around. Try another little tighten, because we want this thing sitting all the way on that spindle. So I don't think that's 50 foot-pounds because I can't really get it good, but it's as tight as I can get it. All right, so then now we're going to come back. Yeah, that was nowhere near 50 foot-pounds, but now we're finger tight. But
The play went away.
no play, because we
Okay.
pressed everything in, then we backed this off. So then all that's left is to make sure the nut doesn't go anywhere. And again, I'm leaving, typically I would wipe all this grease off because it's old and you don't want to repeat grease that's been
Dirty.
nasty and burnt out and dirt or whatever. But because we just did this, I'm going to leave that grease in place. So then that flat edge of the spindle goes with the flat edge of that. And we just press that puppy on until she snaps in. Boom. Okay. That's now going to keep this nut from turning. See? It just locks it because it's against that flat edge. so the nut won't turn. So we don't have to worry about it backing out. So we've got everything pressed in. Now we're holding it in place, but it's not squeezing it so tight so those bearings can move and do their thing. You'd rather wear out bearings than the spindle. And then dust cover with all our extra grease in there. Ooh, it's burping.
Farting.
Yeah. You want to make sure that gets seated all the way flush against there, and so it keeps water out. And that is how you change your brakes. Or at least the, I forget what it's called. What are these called?
18%.
Brake assemblies, electric brake assembly. So there it is. So now we're gonna put the wheel back on. I'm just gonna tell you this part. I don't know if Laura's gonna film it or not, but when we put this is crazy. When we go to put the wheels back on, we put them on, and then we torque them to 20 to 25 foot-pounds. Then when that's done, you torque them to 50 foot-pounds. Then when that's done, you end at 100 foot-pounds. I've seen and heard going halfway first, and then I didn't know about two stops before the end line. So anyway, okay, that's what Grand Design and Dexter axles and stuff says to do. That's what we're gonna do. So that's what we're gonna get the wheel on, 25, 50, and 100.
Let's check on how Olie is doing. How's it going?
Lovely.
Did that one go on all right? You're on camera.
Yeah, we had some issues getting it off. The old one was the shoes were stuck to the drum.
Oh.
So I had to do a little cussing.
That worked?
Of course. Well, cussing, but dead blow. A 48-ounce dead blow hammer helps too.
All right.
Much gooder. Last one was frozen. Oh, baby. So it's time to put a tire on.
Now these are new tires. Can you tell us a little bit about those, since we didn't really talk about it?
We got our tires for the truck at a place called Discount Tire. It was in Columbus, Georgia. Got a pretty good deal on it. One thing that they do that I like is you get free rotations and stuff like that. And the truck is a bugger to rotate the tires because you have to take them off the rims, because there's 6 of them, and because the back ones are anyway, long story short, Discount Tire. So we got here. I knew I needed tires for the Hizzy, so I went on their website, started shopping around. I didn't want to go with the original, I think it was the Goodyears that were on here. You know, people say they worked well. I mean, they didn't give us any trouble, but even sidewall, there would be just strips on the sidewall that have a little bump. And people said that was normal. You know, so again, careful what you read on the internet, because someone will agree with you and the next person will tell you you're a terrorist. So, you know, you got to do your own kind of homework. But I just didn't like the idea of it. So I'm looking around. Of course, price is a big deal. So then I found the HANKOOK, and so I did some research on them. And this is their VANTRA trailer, and so it's meets all the same specs. The reviews from what people were saying were pretty good. So you know, there's a cross thread. That's why you don't use power tools. There it goes. So and then to go along with Discount Tire, you know, they back the products that they sell. And so if I ever run into trouble with a tire, get a flat, you know, anything like that, I can take it into them. If it can be repaired, they'll repair it for free. It reminds me of a tire shop in a galaxy far, far away, owned by a company called Les Schwab. Those of you up in the Northwest will know what I'm talking about. Les Schwab tires, awesome, you know. And so the discount tire, I wasn't overly impressed with Columbus, Georgia, sorry. However, the one here in Livingston, awesome. Those guys are kicking it. You know, you pull into the parking lot, if someone's available, they come run out and meet you. It's not you going to them, stand in line and wait. They come and meet you. And I told them what I wanted to do, all the rest of the stuff. They were on it. And so, you know, shout out to Discount Tires, especially here in Livingston. You guys rocked it. So I took them 2 tires at a time. I jack up one side of the trailer, put the jack stands underneath it, take the 2 tires in, and then flip-flop. And then I got to wait 2 days because 2 of the tires hadn't come in yet. And then went back and did the other side. And so, yes, rubber.
And we did not film any of it because the man behind the camera, or the
woman behind
the camera was at work. So he could get these things, so he could get it all done in the cool of the day, unlike this morning when we're on the hot side of the trailer and we didn't get as started as early as we wanted to.
Tried to do it so it didn't interfere with when you were home.
Yeah.
Because the slides had to be in, so it kind of shuts the trailer down.
Yeah.
So I tried to do it. Me and my sidekick,
Sadie.
she supervised. So anyway, so yeah, there we go. All right, so
What's...
wait.
Is that your torque?
Yeah. Oh, missing one. Row, George. Where'd it go? Yeah, there it is. That's why I put them in the hub, so I don't lose them. All right, go to 100. Come on, get down there. NASCAR, I'm ready for the picture. So, okay, thanks for coming along and putting up with the long video of doing these brake things. So, in closing, disclaimers, right? Not a professional, not a mechanic, not licensed, not certified. Well, yeah, okay. You get what I mean. You know, take on these tasks at your own risk. But you saw it's really not that hard. The only thing I would say about that particular deal that we did is that I'm going to go and find the right sized socket for that spindle nut, because that's supposed to be torqued down to 50 foot-pounds and then backed out and be finger tight, and that's what squeezes that whole drum and both of those bearings and everything into place, and then backing it out lets them move. And that to me sounded very critical. So, you know, maybe more to come, but I'm going to try and find the right size socket for that. I think it's 1.5 inches, which is big. So that I can do that correctly. So you might want to add that to your whole list. But all in all, Dexter made this stuff available. Southwest Wheel, thanks for being a good distributor for us. And don't be afraid to try this stuff yourself. You know, you're going to pay hundreds, if not thousands, to someone else. You can do it yourself. If all of a sudden our channel goes off YouTube, then you know I did it wrong. No, I'm kidding. So yeah, like, subscribe, comment, please. Just throw me comments down there and say, hey, your bald head needs to be shaped. Whatever it may be, it helps us out. So oh wait, what do you got coming up, Laura?
More organization. So it's coming your way. I have so much to declutter, organize, so stay tuned. Back to you.
Bye.
Well, there's our supervisor. What's the matter? Sadie doesn't like the bugs. Tell me it's hot in Texas without telling me it's hot in Texas.